Hello, hello. Welcome back to AVX Live. I'm Joe Gilderson, President of Corporate Audio Visual Services. And once again, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Ryan Finch.
Hello, hello. It's good to be back, Joe. We took a couple of weeks off, didn't we?
We took at least a week off.
I think it might have been 2.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Who's
Ryan.
counting?
Where is this exciting green room you are?
Well, this exciting green room is close enough that if I raise my voice too loud, we will hear an echo because I'm right down the hallway from you. Come on. Not my usual spot, but it's working out so far.
Well, I like it. It makes me feel like you're a special guest today.
I'd like to think
you're in
so.
the green room.
In the green room. That's right. Yeah.
Meanwhile, I have lighting and colors and fun things behind me.
You got a lot going on there. Are you celebrating something?
Well, I am wearing pink today and have some pink lighting in honor of my friends at Copy and Art. Their big ribbon cutting is today. So I'm excited. Whoa, that's a little too much for this show.
We haven't showed a lot of leg on this show.
I've never seen that happen. I don't even know if we're allowed to do that. But anyways, let's get started on this thing. You know, we've been pretty busy last few weeks. That's why we have had a little bit of a hiatus. We've been in New York City, Long Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, and of course, lovely Westchester County. But Ryan, I think you might have a longer trip planned soon.
Oh, that's right.
What do you got coming up?
I'm going to the beach. No, we're going to Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Yeah, we have a corporate program down there. It's a few days, so I get to disappear for the first week of November. Very excited.
Water taxi. Taxi. That's all I can say.
I just use regular taxis. It's easy enough. Do they have water Uber?
They do.
Oh, good to know.
Las Olas Boulevard. You'll be living the dream down there. But anyways, let's not get too distracted. All right, Mr. Finch, how can people find us? Let's run.
You can find us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube Live. You can do that every Wednesday at 1 p.m. And while you're there, you should drop us a comment, be part of the show. We're doing it live. You might as well ask a question. We'll answer it. And of course, if you missed this, you can find little bite-sized pieces chopped up on Facebook and on Instagram for some quick video bites. And last but not least, show us some love, like, comment, share, subscribe, all the above. Very helpful. Wow. Much appreciated. There we go. Just one little trip up there. Just one little, out of order, out of sequence, but you hung with it. Good job.
Thank you. I tried. Well, either way, it seems like this might be time to get started, unless we need to see camera 2.
No, we never need to see camera 2.
Look, it's Halloween time, man. I mean, look, we got decorations over here. If we go here, wow. We have a little skull. We have a little guy. This is my Kiss guy, my Gene Simmons guy. We go up top. We got some cats. Here's some Kiss guys again. I'm just saying, this is really good stuff. No?
Oh, my God.
Do you know how hard it is to move your finger like that?
I do, actually. Yeah, you did it pretty well.
That was real work right there.
It was.
All right, let's get started. I want to tell you guys a little bit about our guest today, Anne Jordan Duffy. So, as associate publisher of Westfair Communications Incorporated, a publishing firm headquartered in White Plains, New York, Anne oversees the sales and marketing for the company's publications, which are Westchester County Business Journal, Fairfield County Business Journal, and Wake Up with Westfair. A graduate of the College of the Holy Cross, Jordan also holds a master's degree from Columbia University Teachers College. And prior to Westfair, she was a teacher where she gained her leadership, organizational, communications, and sales skills. Anne has co-founded the Above the Bar Awards, the CFO of the Year Awards, and Westfair's Milli Awards. She currently serves in the March of Dimes Real Estate Breakfast Committee, as well as the Friendly Gathering Committee, and lectors at her church on a regular basis. Anne resides in White Plains, where she enjoys married life and mothering her 2 sons. Please welcome everyone, Anne Jordan Duffy.
Hello.
Hi there. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Ryan and Joe, for inviting me on this today. It's such a pleasure.
Oh, great to have you. And actually, as Joe is going through the introductions, I realized that I did not include logos for Fairfield County Business Journal and Wake Up with Westfair. So that's on me. Apologies. And I'm going to blame everything else on Joe for the rest of the show.
And it's on me is we actually moved our offices from White Plains to Mount Kisco. So we are now in Mount Kisco.
Yes.
Well, now I feel like I'm absolved. So there we go. 1 for 1.
So that's on me. So sorry about that.
I think you guys are great. I don't see any problem with.
Well, listen,
I'm not counting. I'm not counting your mistakes. Okay.
That was a very nice introduction, Joe. And we love partnering with you, working with you. You guys do a fabulous job making sure everyone's well lit and they can hear everybody speaking and the entertainment value. You are true professionals in your own right. So thank you.
Thank you for the plug. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. So thank you for
Excellent.
inviting me.
Well, I mean, like I was saying to Ryan, I mean, Anne, you're a big deal.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know
Big.
everybody.
I'm a big deal in my house.
I don't know. I happened to see a website earlier today where you were literally on the front page of their
Billy,
website.
Mooney, and Joan.
So I think you're a pretty big deal. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you. That's very sweet.
But Ryan, if you could take me off the big, thank you. That was very uncomfortable there for a second. It was just a whole lot of me right there. I don't need any more of that. But and why don't we start off? Just tell us a little bit about your role at Westfair and how you first got into the publishing world.
Sure. So I actually went for a summer internship. I was teaching for about 8 or 9 years and just wanted to try something different for the summer. And my parents were at a party and ran into Dee Del Bello, and Dee was looking for someone to help out in sales. So I met with Dee. I thought I was going to be there for the summer. And 23 years later, I'm still with Dee Del Bello. And I started out as an ad rep and, then, evolved into like a leadership role of, sales manager and associate publisher. And, we're a smaller company. So you kind of wear a lot of different hats in a smaller company. And, I've even written back in the day when one of our publications was Generations that we did in public-private partnership with the Westchester County for Aging. I would write an article. I've taken photos. I saw Bill Mooney before. I did an interview for Bill when he was retiring. But, in terms of the role here now, it's really like an ambassador for the company and a salesperson. You're constantly going out and, listening to the customers, seeing what they need, and trying to come up with solutions to what their marketing efforts or their PR efforts may be.
Sure. Well, hey, look, small company, multiple hats. I mean, that's certainly something, we can relate to. But, I'm curious, did you have a favorite hat that you wore? Was there a step in that journey that you particularly were fond of? Is it the part you're in now? But I'm curious if you had oh no, what are you doing?
Oh, favorite hat.
Yeah,
favorite
Irish
hat.
hat.
I mean,
yeah. I have to say, the events are really rewarding in terms of introducing the winners or talking about what our role is at the business journals. But I really do love meeting new people and introducing people to other people. So like I will be asked often, okay, I'm new to Westchester County. Who do I need to meet? And then, I'll refer them to different, people in different industry groups. So I would probably say the networker in me, any, hat that I wear here that puts me into that role, I think is probably the most rewarding because I think I'm probably the most effective there. I can sell, but people don't want to listen to numbers and, propose, like they want the relationship. there was a book once that says people buy people. They don't buy the product.
Right.
They buy people. So if they trust you and they really inherently trust you and you have a relationship, I think that's the part of the job I love. And then when you're meeting people, it's not really a job. You're just listening to people. Very often I will be on the phone and I will often just listen to their issues. And if I've known them, and some of the clients I've had for 23 years, you can ask about their family. I mean, I've been invited to weddings and, baptisms of people I've met. So I think that that's a wonderful, result of that.
Oh, absolutely. Well, now, Anne, I can totally see why Joe likes you so much, because you and he are very like-minded in the relationships world. I mean, am I wrong there, Joe? It sounds like something that I would hear you saying very often.
Well, I mean, that's what it's all about, is relationships. And we talk about how we're not really in the, event business sometimes, but more in the service and relationship business, because a lot of our clients are very long-term clients. So it makes complete sense what you're saying, that people are buying from people and they don't necessarily want those numbers to know how to generate the ad sales, but it's well said.
Those aren't important, right? Yeah.
No, those are good. We like those too. But well, what was the transition like though, going from teaching where you thought, that was kind of going to be it, and then you moved into this side of the equation?
I get that question often, and, people think it's a really far cry from teaching to sales. And it's actually really, really similar, because I want you to think about it this way. If you take a class of adolescent boys and girls and you're trying to teach them, the Reformation or the Civil War, it's really hard to get their attention. And you're like selling them a concept. And, when you're going off and you're selling the business journals, or you're selling WAG or digital, you're selling an idea. So the skill set was very similar. And what was interesting is when I was leaving teaching and I was transitioning to selling, there was a course I was taking, like not an official course, but more for like a hobby in Rye. And it was an improvisational theater class. And it was really great. If you've never done improvisational theater, it's wonderful, because it forces you to be in an uncomfortable situation, and then you just have to kind of say yes to everything. That's the whole motto, is like,
yes,
if someone says it's cold out here, you say yes it is, rather than no it's not, it's hot. But improvisational theater was really a great transition for me in sales. Also, I should probably stress that I'm in advertising sales, and I came from a family of advertisers. So I think, that's not really like on my resume so much, but I'm very proud of the lineage I come from and the legacy I come from in terms of advertising. So it wasn't completely, from out of left field.
Sure. Oh, well, it sounds like it was in your blood already.
Yeah. So my dad wrote commercials for a living.
Oh, wow.
Very cool.
Are there any claims to fame that we would know? Are you allowed to say that?
So it's going to be like, Ryan, you're probably too young to remember any of these, but
all right, I'll just leave it.
A little bit too young, right?
No, but he did like the Schaefer jingle, which was really popular.
Okay.
The ring around the collar for Whisk.
Wow.
Nestle is scrumptious. He did Tums, Tum, 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 Tum.
No kidding. That is a big deal. I didn't know we had a superstar with
Quaker Oats. It's the right thing to do.
Wow.
Actually, that was really cool, because then George Bush was one of the George Bushes was president at the time when it was really in the vernacular, and he used it in his speech, like referencing the commercial. So that was kind of cool.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So
wow. I am curious now, when you were teaching,
Yes.
What did you teach?
I taught history.
Okay. I was expecting you to say like advertising.
No. I taught anywhere from sixth grade all the way up to 11th grade history, social studies, history. And what's very funny, and I won't call them out here publicly, but very often I will be at a Westchester based event, and the three of us know in common some of my former students.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the networker in you, I'm sure as well. You probably have many people that you're, meeting and exchanging with on a regular basis.
Right. So it's fun. It's fun.
Maybe we should try to beam one of them in right now. I mean, we could certainly send a link out and get someone on.
We have the technology. We could do this.
We do have the technology.
Oh, that's super interesting, though. I got to say.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And also, I love the concept of selling ideas. I think, somewhere along my schooling career, my social studies teacher, did not do that because that was easily my worst subject. If you're watching this, I'm sorry to say this, but I love the concept of selling ideas first. I mean, in our business, we're selling trust in many cases that what we say is going to happen is going to happen. And we're selling the idea that the information that you have to share is going to get to everyone in the most effective way possible. And really what it boils down to is the little boxes and cables and gear. They don't matter nearly as much as what came before that.
Right.
So, but as far as a transition, right, selling ideas as a teacher to selling ideas in a different capacity, that makes perfect sense.
And listening to what their needs are. Because if you have 25 students in a class, each of those students bring their own set of, strengths and weaknesses and personalities, and selling is the same with clients. You have to listen to them, and, they don't want to hear from me. They want to talk. I want to hear what their concerns are. What are the challenges in their business? Or are there challenges? I mean, if somebody's like, we're too busy, we can't even, take any more phone calls because we're just booked. They don't need to advertise right now. I get that. So, we can still be friends. Maybe one day they might need us, but not today. And that's okay.
Absolutely. And that's the authenticity element, right?
Right. Absolutely. Somebody called before. There was a time when we had a consumer magazine but at one time we did not. And somebody called and they're like, we have this dress company and we want to reach little mom and pop, owners in a little small town. And I was honest with them. And I said, something, we're the Business Journal and this is not for you for this particular product. And they were so thankful. And they wrote me back and they said, thank you so much for being honest. Like other advertisers would have been like, just sold me anything. Right. And, there's a time and a place. Listen, there's enough business out there that, we can all share and we don't have to, if it's not right, if it's not the right fit, that's okay too. That's okay too. Of course, now we have, digital and online, and that opens up a whole new world, literally and figuratively, for us.
Well, it's an interesting transition there so my guess is you started with everything as print first, and then you transitioned to digital. How did that how did that go? Because I'm sure that was fairly complicated to go from print and selling ads where everybody opened up a paper to now it's a little bit of a different game, isn't it?
So I guess there were there's a couple of transitions, Joe, that you're referencing, because the whole digital world, started, 12 years ago. So we made that transition where we had the website, we had the News at Noons and these exclusive e-blasts and all of that.
I remember the News at Noons.
But when COVID happened, and it was March of 2020, and people who were receiving our publications in their offices were not going to their offices anymore, it kind of seemed futile to send out print and send out a paper that, at that time, people didn't know how you could get COVID. Were you going to get it on the print? And so we decided to take the way the paper looks as a flip book and then send it out Monday morning. And in terms of that, it was good because, then they would all get it Monday morning. It wouldn't get lost in the mail, or, some people would get the business journals on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. And this way they were getting it Monday morning. But we did find that people, there were some people, very few, like I thought I might have gotten more phone calls from people wanting the print. I have to tell you, honestly, there were 2 or 3 people who called and said, is it going to be coming back in print? Like, not that many. People understood, the environmentalists understood it for that reason. They understood it because people weren't in the offices. People could get it right to their iPads. They could get it as the stories are online now, so they could easily send the link to their friends or their colleagues. So it was a transition in terms of the selling, but it was more seamless than you would actually think it was, if that makes any sense.
Well, it's nice when things are easier than you thought, right?
But I will also say one other thing, because this is really important, and this is something that comes up a lot. When you have an advertiser and they ran an ad with us in print, they would often want CMOs have to go back to their bosses and they have to give numbers. And with print, it was really hard to quantify those numbers. Whereas if you do an exclusive e-blast and you have this percentage of an open rate, and then you have this many click-throughs, that's what the CMOs are looking for. They're looking for these quantitative numbers that, unfortunately, print, we just couldn't give it to them. And these CMOs really want numbers. So that actually worked to our advantage.
That's an interesting takeaway right there. Yeah. Do you sacrifice some of the tactile feeling that I'm sure those 2 people who called in wanted?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Right.
But, and it's funny, Anne, that you bring this up, because we're in now a world where what was previously, engagement in a room, which is a little harder to quantify, we moved quickly into a world of, I can tell when you started watching and when you finished watching, and when you left to go get a coffee and when you came back to start watching again. And so that, that's been part of our world, certainly as well. I'm curious though, in terms of when you made the decision, right, to offer the online version instead, were there metrics and numbers that helped guide that decision, or was that more of like a pulse of the people kind of thing?
Well, so it's a good question. So when COVID happened, we worked really, really hard in terms of gathering as many emails as we could from Westchester and Fairfield business people. And so in the first, I'd say 10 months of that period, we doubled our subscribers in terms of sending out email blasts. So those metrics were really important to us. In addition, the website, we enjoy about 315,000 views per month. And those are mostly from Westchester and Fairfield, but we're starting to pull from people from Manhattan, and we have people around the world who check out. Whereas before, we didn't have that with our printed version. So being able to have something that lives 24/7 as a news source, because we all know, all of us, that content is king. And that's what we are. We are a business to business resource. we are constantly putting out on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, these articles, and people are now referring us. I mean, we might have to do like a new brand campaign of Westfair Online. Like I was going to have a panelist for our real estate, and I always kind of think of myself as Westfair Communications or the business journals. And he's like, "Oh, so are you from Westfair Online?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am."
Sure.
Because we're really a news source at this point, right?
Right.
So the metrics in terms of the email blasts, the news at noon, and the website, all three of those, the metrics stood for themselves.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and in that regard, it definitely makes sense from multiple angles. But no, I mean, you're absolutely, spot on. And I feel, I feel like, again, we have that little bit of relatability and cross field, that it's also like an always on kind of thing, right? Like, just like you said, news, the immediacy of it now becomes, there's more of an appetite to know right away, right? As opposed to Monday morning.
Yeah. So our stories have now gotten much more into the consumer world. I shared this with you. I actually shared this with Dee last week. So I was at the business journals for, 20 years, and my siblings, they work in Manhattan or they work as teachers, and no one, they weren't subscribing to the business journals because they weren't like business owners per se, or business people in Westchester. They were either based in the city or they were teachers, in a high school. And in the last year and a half, the articles generated from Westfair Online are starting now to go into the family feed. And they're like, "Oh, this is where Anne works." And it never happened before. So that's what I'm talking about, like where our articles that before may not have gotten the FaceTime or the audience, now it's getting a much wider audience.
It's like breaking into new circles, right?
Right.
Like new...
Right. Because we have all the WAG members. We have our WAG readers. We have their data, their email addresses.
Sure.
So we've been able to pivot. And now we have a consumer e-newsletter that goes out at 7:00 in the morning called Wake Up with Westfair. And that's been really popular. So we have the Wake Up at Westfair. And then at noon, as Joe referenced earlier, we have the news at noon at, around noon. And so that's for Westchester and Fairfield. Monday mornings, we send out the flip book. And then for our customers, if they would like us to, we are happy to send out exclusive e-blasts for them. And then we do newsletters too. So we have a healthcare newsletter that's generated by White Plains Hospital. We have an elder care newsletter generated by Ania Scanlon and Sirignano. We have wonderful real estate partners, and, Houlihan Lawrence and Capelli, and there's just many. Citron Cooperman, we do events with, and they do advertorials. So there's a lot of, and then we deal with banks. I mean, banks, realize that we're the only B2B around. And we'll go to events and we'll have a Peter Katz. Do you know Peter? Do you guys know Peter Katz? So Peter Katz is, and Phil Hall and Bill Heltzel. I mean, they are, and Georgette Gavea. They are our, and Justin, they're our writers, right? And they're out on the streets getting these stories, and they're filming. And I've gone to many events, and we are like the only media source reporting on this, because there's just not a lot of media source out there left today. And because we saw the writing on the wall some years ago, we did pivot. We pivoted pretty aggressively, and we are in the constant growth mode in terms of, developing our database and bringing more content in. Because if you bring more content in, there's going to be more engagement. So thus the importance of the events too, because you'll attract new people. We don't have the same people at our events. There's not a big overflow, so you're constantly meeting new people.
Yeah, your events are definitely different because they're more segmented.
Right.
Which I have a feeling is an advantage of all the digital marketing because of the metrics, and goes hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean, our events, they're segmented only in the sense that, we cover Westchester and Fairfield, but if we do the 40 under 40 in Fairfield, that's going to be predominantly a Fairfield event.
Sure.
But if we do a real estate event in Westchester, we will draw from Westchester and Fairfield. And if we do a Doctors of Distinction, we'll get people in the medical field at that event. But our events, we're not an events planning company. We are a media company. We're, reporting journalistic business, right? But the events allows our partners and our audience to interface with one another and meet each other. And we like to acknowledge the C-suites. So you mentioned copy and art. So their CEO, Elena, she won. We're honoring her next week. We have 16 winners that next Tuesday night will be honored at the C-Suite Awards in Stamford at the Stamford Hotel. And we have some really big, heavy-hitting companies who are sponsoring it. And like Regeneron, they're sponsoring it, Bond, Schoenig and King, a firm that's a big firm that has a new office in Westchester. And we have, Robeson. We have banks sponsoring it, King's Capital, Millionaire. I mean, who would have thought? So the C-suite's great.
It's exciting. And it's next week.
It's next Thursday night around 5:30. We start the networking, and the program will kind of kick off around 6:25.
Well, there we go. Everyone has to register and come and see these 16 incredible winners. I mean, it sounds like a great event.
No, it's really good. And they're all different levels. Some are CEOs, some are the CMOs, it's different levels of C-suite. But, people, I'm sure you're finding this in your job, is that people are hungry to kind of get out and connect.
Absolutely.
It's been
We're
a long
definitively seeing that. Yes. It has been a long couple of years, but the events are up. Everybody's excited to be out, but as we were talking about for our side, transitioning from the in-person events to the digital and virtual events, I think this is really an interesting time for how you guys touch your clients and consumers, and on the ad side too. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about some of the different ways that you help people to boost their image and help them gain market share.
So that's a really good question. I think going back.
Ryan, did you hear that? That was a good question.
Question.
Pat yourself on the back again. Go ahead.
I think the first thing you need to ascertain is what is the client's objective. Okay. If they are trying to bring people to their website, or if they're trying to have a call to action. But I will share with you some of the very popular trends that we have been seeing. And I think that will help answer the question. With the news at noons that we send out, we have a very nice open rate on those. And there's two ways to get your company onto those news at noons. One is by having a simple banner or button ad, or if you invest more, you can have a sponsored content. So it's an article, looks like an article, and then it shows like 2 or 3 sentences of the article. And then it would link to, if you click on it for more, it would link back to the customer's website, a landing page on their website for the rest of the article. That's called sponsored content. So you can do that in Westchester Business Journal's News at Noon, or the Fairfield, or both. That's been popular. The second thing is exclusive e-blasts. So for example, if corporate AV wanted to offer this great discount in the month of December. I'm making this up. And you just want to offer that to, I'm making it up. But if you wanted to do, okay, better yet, a happy holiday ad, and you want to send it to 20,000 people, we could send it out for you. And it looks like it's coming from the business journals, but it's from you. And that's a very nice thing. It's all exclusive. It's yours. You can send a JPEG and HTML. HTMLs are more interactive, so they typically generate more opens than a pure JPEG or a PDF. And then the business journals and then videos. So video is really important. And I'm sure as depicted here today, video, people are really turning towards video. And if they don't have a commercial, if they don't have a video, I think there's room for growth there. So one of the things that we're kind of targeting is what companies have videos that they want to share. And if they don't have a video, can we help you do that? Even if it's a tour around a manufacturing room or an interview with the CEO, because on social media, that can transcend all those different platforms. And what we're finding is that all these companies, they have articles, they've written the articles, they want to repurpose the articles. So if the article's already written, well, why not put it into the news at noon? Why not put it on a website? Why not repurpose it and get as many eyes on it as possible? Because people do have strong PR within, and they also have their own companies that they outsource. So I would say those are the options. And then of course, the actual flip book itself, the PDF, the journal. So if we have a section, we're going to press today with a White Plains feature, and it's going to be great because it's going to be part of the 1024 issue, but we're also going to send it out separately. And we reached out to some of the leaders of the White Plains community to give their message in there. And it should be very nice. And we'll send that out as its own exclusive e-blast.
That's great. And do you typically, as far as a company that, say wasn't sure if they wanted to do sponsored content or an exclusive e-blast or potentially a video of their own, do you help guide them in their decision and which to go with? Or are you saying like, hey, you have a lot of video content, let's do that because that seems to be hot right now?
I'll ask them what they've done in the past and what has proven successful. Sometimes it can become a budgetary constraint. I will always give them my suggestion. If there's 3 things and I know that one is going to have a better open rate than the other, I will guide them to the one that's going to have a better open rate because you want them to succeed.
Right.
Right. So, very often going back to the story earlier, like if I don't think that we can generate it, then I'm going to say we can't do that for you. And I think people they respect honesty. But if they can only do 2 out of 3, yeah, I will suggest, which 2 I think will be better based on their needs. That's a good question.
We'll give them a point for that.
I was counting.
No, I mean, but that you're talking about relationships and building
Right.
trust. That's the way you do that, right? By actually caring about someone achieving success and doing well. So I think that makes complete sense. Now, I know I see you everywhere, and I know we're going to see you next week at the big event, maybe even later today. But it seems like you're also very involved in your own community. Maybe tell us a little bit about some of your passions and some of your personal projects that you're involved in.
So that's a great question. So I am involved in the church where I grew up at Our Lady of Sorrows. I'm a lector there. And actually, I've been a lector there for...
A lector.
For 30 years. All right. I shouldn't admit that. But yeah, for 30 years, I've been a lector. I've been on the board of something called the RDC Center, and that's the Sisters of the Divine Compassion. They're, if you know where Pace Law School is, Good Counsel, that property.
Yep, know exactly where it is.
Okay, the order of nuns is called the Sisters of the Divine Compassion, and they have a counseling center that is based out of that center. And I have been on the board. I think I maxed out after 2 terms, but they have a friendly gathering each year. It's to raise money for those individuals who need psychological help and may not have the funds or the insurance to cover for them. So we offset the costs. So that's why we raise money there. The March of Dimes, early birth, right? Early birth defects, and to battle that. I've been on the committee, I think it's been about 9 years, with the March of Dimes for the Real Estate Breakfast Committee. And each year, a bunch of us, led by Patty Valenti, she's our committee chairperson, we identify leaders in the community in real estate, and we honor them. And it is an unbelievable breakfast, November 17th this year at Brayburn. And I think it's going to be sold out because, with restrictions, of size, people buy sponsorships and then all the tickets go. But it's you have all the heavy hitters in the, oh, how did you do that?
It's magic.
That's so funny. I love that. Brayburn. Good thing I knew that off the top of my head. It happens to be the same day, by the way, as the WCA dinner. So you can put that too. I forgot where that is. Yeah, the WCA dinner. Oh, and by the way, the Millennial Awards are November 16th at the Greenwich Hyatt. So the night before. So it's going to be a tough couple of days there. So the March of Dimes there. But I just in the community, those are the big ones. I was on the board for the ADA when I was very young, did that stint, and Kids Express. There was another one for publishing, because publishing. But I think you constantly have to give back. And I will say that my mother was a good role model because she taught me always to give back. So engagement. So I do love that.
You certainly seem like you keep busy. That's a lot of things.
Yeah. And I have 2 boys at home. One's trying desperately to get into college.
Wow. There you go.
So
there you go.
Hold on. Did I just learn something? Is the Millennial Awards, is that the Milli Awards?
Yeah.
I haven't been involved in these projects, but
yeah. The Milli Awards.
I didn't realize that's what that was. Well, look at that. Oh, very nice.
Yep.
Is 31? I was going to 31 still considered a millennial?
I'd have to look at the dates.
Well, I mean, look, it's not the age of the person; it's when they were born.
Right.
So
no, exactly yes. Right.
And
I don't even know what that means.
Well, we changed it though. It's millennials and Gen Z to get the younger in. So we did sense. because that what was happening is that our millennials were becoming the 40 under 40.
Oh.
So we had to skew it down.
All right, here it comes. Ready? The Milli Awards.
That's good.
I know. I'm an idea guy.
He just blew his own mind.
And I did take an advertising class once upon a time. So
did you really?
I did actually. SVA.
One time.
Yeah, one time. And actually, my professor wanted to see if I was looking for a job, and I said, you know what? I actually just started a new role at Corporate Audio Visual Services.
And 8.5 years later.
Yes.
Here you are.
There you go. Well, not as good as 23 years. Did I get that right, Anne?
World famous digital marketer.
It's 23.
Nailed it.
Wow, that is awesome.
Awesome.
That's really
crazy,
cool.
Whatever.
Well, there's sometimes the same thing. But wow, it's been pretty cool. I've actually learned a lot. I like the idea that you were mentioning some of the different trends. Whether it's talking about banners or button ads, but the sponsored content, I think, makes a lot of sense in many ways. I know for groups like us, that's always been a more effective tool. The exclusive e-blasts I see all the time. I really do. I get them all the time. I'm like, how are they doing that? Now I know how they're doing that. It's because you came up with some great idea, and here it is now. 315,000 people are watching.
May I say one thing, and
Sure.
because I don't want to underestimate the power of the client. Very often, there will be ideas that are generated originating from the client and what their needs are. So, for example, something like the C-Suite Award came out from an accounting firm based out of Stanford. They wanted to highlight CFOs, and it actually morphed from CFO to C-Suite. But like the Doctors of Distinction, the Above the Bar, some of these were done in partnership because we sat around a table and we just brainstormed of who they were trying to target, who they were trying to reach, what their audience was, and what their objective was. And I think at the end of the day, a message to all of your viewers is that, just because we may not offer it today doesn't mean that we can't discuss it, because that's the flexibility of a small company, is that we can typically accommodate. And if we don't know how to accommodate, we will learn how to accommodate.
That is
like a
very
boutique
well
approach,
said.
but with,
Right.
mass media reach.
Right.
Very cool. And this has been great. I mean, this is,
No,
I
thank
feel like
you.
I've actually learned something. Normally when I talk to Ryan, I don't get a lot, but I feel good now. I feel really good now. So,
I can't wait till I see you guys later tonight.
We just keep it going. This actually doesn't end the whole day, the whole shtick.
That's so
I'm
funny.
working on new material though, so I might try something later.
I need better lighting on my face. Sorry. I didn't know. I'm using somebody else's office today. So
I think you're fine.
Did just fine.
It's all about the content, Dan, right?
Yeah.
King.
Content is king.
There it is.
Well, listen, you've been great. We thank you very much for all of your time today. I know you have a lot going on, especially with the C-Suite Awards next week. Everybody can check that out, westfaironline.com. Please, this is going to be great. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. There's a big
Thank you, Ryan and Joe. Thank you so much for taking the time to invite me on today. I really appreciate it. And if any of you out there have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or wherever at the Business Journals, Westfair Online.
There we go.
Excellent.
Very
Well,
good.
thank you again. And
All
hopefully we'll see you later on today.
All right. Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye now. Mr. Finch, I hope you learned some things today.
I did learn some things today. Absolutely did. And no, I thought this was a nice discussion. And I got a whole page full of notes. And so we're going to come away with some nice highlight videos and get those chopped up and posted. Oh, yeah.
I personally like the idea of listening to the customers, finding out what they need, and then, of course, helping them come up with solutions. I think that's as core of a relationship process as it's going to get.
So you're saying you don't just wait to talk?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening because I was thinking what I was going to say next.
Oh, thank you for illustrating that. That's very nice.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, we're talking communications, right? So that's it seems like active listening. I actually remember that being corporate AV sales training material. Active listening. 8.5 years ago, I was looking at.
I can't really do it. I mean,
oh my gosh. All right,
before we go
camera
off the rails. No, okay.
No. I think I saw you go to camera 2 halfway through our conversation.
Well, I know. I was trying to pat myself on the back. I just couldn't work out the angles. It failed miserably. But it's okay.
Nice try. Points for trying.
You got to take a chance sometimes. Listen, Ryan, tell everybody how they can find us.
Okay, you can find us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube Live. You can do that every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Of course, if you're there, you should drop us a comment and be part of a show, or better yet, maybe not better yet, but in addition to, as well as, like, comment, share, subscribe, all the above. There we go. And of course, if you don't catch this wonderful conversation in its entirety, you can find little bite-sized pieces on Facebook and on Instagram afterwards for some quick bites, some highlights, if you will. And that is all for the banners. You're done.
I'm done.
Congratulations. Another
I'm outta
successful
here.
banner piloting. I don't know what you'd call that.
I don't know. But listen, Ryan, it's time to go. We got to get back to work. So I appreciate everyone joining us today. We look forward to seeing you again. Thank you, Anne, for such a great talk. And I look forward to seeing you guys later. And I'm going to be sporting my pink today for copy and art. So here we go. No, you're not going to do it again, are you? I mean, okay, that's good. That's good.
That actually
Real
hurt
nice.
a little bit.
It looked like it did. All right, everybody. Thank you again. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.
Stay golden.